Okay. That works.
Yeah.
Yes, I need that.
It's like, why don't I think that I can speak what's on my mind? When my hurt more, when my thoughts are trapped inside.
Got a nice singing voice.
Baby, black maturity wasn't a part of the
Thanks,
plan.
dude.
Because they say, and every time another nigga dies with no guilt. How do you feel when it stuff's on the real and they showing fake love for you? But
Yo.
Still in it. It's way too easy to get you.
Yo.
What do you do when it's your boo?
Another bomb, man. Another bomb for me. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman's Club podcast. It's your boy Cardell, a.k.a. Pedialyte Poppy, over there in the back.
Hey guys, it's me, Zach, a.k.a. Podcast Poppy in the building. What's going on?
It doesn't sound as good as mine, man. Pedialyte Poppy's taking over that shit. All right. This is another episode of the Gentleman's Club Pod. We are sitting here with LC. Can we get a round of applause for LC in the building?
Yes, sir.
Welcome. How you feeling, man?
Good, man. How y'all doing?
We're hanging in there.
That's
man.
good.
It's early.
All right, so LC is glad to have you here, man. We finally got a chance to get you on a pod. What's the word with you? What's going on?
Man, it's just living life, man, and just trying to go through the motions and just be a better person every day. That's really it, man.
Wow, positivity. I respect that.
Yes, sir.
I'll take it. All right, so you just dropped some shit.
Yes, sir.
What did you drop, man?
Yeah, I dropped my latest project. It's like my 5th project. It's Exposition.
Okay.
And it was an album.
Okay.
16 songs, like 15 in a skit, and yeah.
Fair enough. I also had the luxury of being a part of this album. Thank you for that as well.
Yes, sir. You fucking closed it out great.
All right, I'll take that. All right, so everybody always asks, like, what inspired you for the album? They always ask those typical questions. I'm actually curious on what the process is of what goes into making an album by yourself.
Man, honestly, man, it's just playing record, man, and finishing and making it sound good. No, I'm just oversimplifying it, you know what I'm talking about?
I straight up looked at you like, this nigga is not serious, right?
It's going to be 30,000 new rappers tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, bro, this shit easy. I told you.
Hey, man. Hey, at some point in time, man, you got to feel like it's easy. That way you know you can do it, man. But after you get into it and you realize it might be hard. The hard is a real bad word, man, but it just takes a lot of time to really do it and really get into it, man, and really perfect what you want to do. Some people don't really care as much, you know, but
right.
Other people like me who really like appreciate the craft and the art, man, yeah, we're going to take our time with it. So
Fair enough. Now, you do everything yourself for the most part. Would you say that?
For the most part, yeah. Okay. I wouldn't necessarily say myself as just like inspired from a lot of other people. There's a lot of other hands that I try to keep around so that way like it's not just me out there just winging my shit and just like expecting everybody to like the shit, you know. So
fair enough.
But when it comes down to like the actual like schematics and like craft of it, yeah, for the most part I'm the one that presses record on my own stuff and mixes, masters, and just make sure myself sound good. For the most part, I just got the squad really with me that just tell me if it sound good or if I'm tripping. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's really it.
Fair enough.
How long did it take you to get comfortable with that process? Because obviously, I've known you since the beginning of your towards the beginning of your music making career, and that always wasn't the case. So how long did it take for you to transition and really be comfortable doing it all? You know, the press, record, and edit and everything yourself process.
Honestly, it took me like this last good year to like really like be like, yeah, all right, like I know what I'm looking for. Cause a lot of people just have a idea of like how something's supposed to sound, and then they go with it, and it might sound great like right then and there, like off rip. But for somebody like me, I'm really gonna analyze and just be like, man, how can I get better with it? And for me, it was like, the only way to get better is if I learn myself, if I put myself behind that seat and do what I got to do, so that way, like, I know going forward what I like and what I can tell somebody else that I like. That way they can perfect it, so that way, you know, we can all benefit, really.
Fair enough. I'm trying to think. I had a specific question. I lost it when I got into it. Give me a second. What would you say is the worst and best part about creating your own project?
Man, that's a really good question, man, because that's a spectrum right there, in between best and worst.
Okay.
But best, I guess I'll start with the best part of it is really just like, for me, the best I guess I would go by feeling, like how I felt at the moment. Feelings get a lot in the way, and like I try like to even like separate feelings and emotions, because that's two whole different things. Emotions are stronger than feelings,
Okay.
But a feeling for me was just like that eureka, or that like aha moment where I'm sitting there and I'm like writing something and I'm like, man, this is fire, man. Ain't nobody touching this. Like
when the line comes together exactly how you need to, when the song comes together exactly how you need to. Okay.
Because that moment right there, that one moment where I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this line's fire. When I get to recording it, I'm like, damn, this shit sound fire. Right. More fire. Right. And then when I get to listening, I'm like, man, like I got it, Right. There's a song on my album, or like the skit on my album, that basically talks about that moment where you just like, man, I got some fire shit, man. Ain't nobody like I could do something better than this, but like, nah, man, like I know I got one. That moment when like you can't get tired of doing the shit,
Okay.
The worst moment really to me, and like ultimately, it was just really time, man. When you start putting yourself in deadlines and stuff like that, man, like you start to like get yourself anxious, really,
I gotta get there, I gotta finish that.
Yeah, and then like then that's when like the emotions come in, because like when that happens, it's kind of like when you start to like rely on other people, and
right.
the other people's time doesn't align with yours.
Okay,
then you start like, oh man, like this is tripping, like you know what I mean, like why, like, and or like like why we ain't on the same page, and like then you forget like other people do have like other stuff that they go on with their life,
own lives and things that they got going on.
Like well, your priority is never gonna be anybody else's priority, man, unless y'all like right there next to each other and y'all got the same like intentions in mind, you know?
Your goals aren't lying and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you got to give people the time and credit to like really like understand how important stuff is to you.
Okay, fair enough.
So to me, that was like the worst moment for me, only because like I couldn't communicate a lot of my time and like stuff like my deadlines to other people, which in turn like just made it frustrating for me, because I'm like trying to do one thing and like you know what I mean, like I got a specific idea in mind and somebody else is just like they got some other stuff going on. That's really it. So
fair enough. I got another personal question. Do you ever, let's say you get the song done, right? The song that you feel really good about. Do you ever sit with it and listen to it over and over again and try to figure out what the flaw is or what could be better? Or do you just be like, nah, that's great, and I just let it and throw it out? Of course.
Some like it's on both ways, you know, like most of the time, you know, this is kind of where like it kind of answers that question a little bit. That last year that I took to like really like, cause I never knew how to like engineer my own stuff, you know what I mean? I would go to the studio, you know what I mean? Shout out Joe. He held it down for the first couple of years, you know what I mean? Like we was in that joint, that's man. Like the whole squad was in there, man, getting it, and Joe was in there.
Took every one of Joe's weekends.
Yeah, you know, and Joe was a trooper for it, man. He was in there riding with us the whole time, man. I always had that joint blazed out, man, and he was always like, yeah, I'll take it, I'll pass the joint, you know what I mean? So he was a real trooper, man, you know what I mean? While he was in there really pressing the buttons and shit and trying to make us sound good, you know, but at the end of the day, we was all learning, you know, like how, like what works and what doesn't, you know? Somebody like me, I just took it like, all right, well, like I really got to learn how better I want to sound on this song, you know?
Right.
Because in the beginning, it's kind of like, all right, whatever, like, I'm going to just get what I can out, you know what I mean? And it sound good to me for now, whatever. We just gonna throw that in there, and yeah, that's me. I'm out here, like, I got to get my shit out, and I got to rap, you know what I mean? I got to let niggas know that I rap.
Right.
But after a while, man, it was kind of like,
when you go back and listen to it,
yeah, there's some stuff just don't age well, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know, and you gotta live with that because you put it out there. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where it gets hard to like have an artist, you know, like being an artist in general, like just putting your heart out there for other people to see.
Right.
But recently, when you kind of slow down and you're like, all right, like how can I really get this better? That's kind of where I sat there and I listened to songs over and over and over, like ain't nobody touching me on how many times you listen, you know what I mean? Right. You listen to your own stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, is it you ever feel a way when because with us both being somewhat in the same realm, when you're listening to the same song over and over again, and don't get me wrong, for the first couple times when I'm listening to it, it's because I'm excited about it, because I like this shit. But afterwards, I'm looking for the flaws and I'm listening to it. Have you ever had a situation where people think that all you like to do is listen to yourself?
No, actually, not necessarily. I don't. Well, I don't think so. I guess nobody came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, nah, you big headed as hell, broco. Like, you can't be out here." But like, you know what I mean? Like, you hear songs about that shit, like where like motherfuckers be like, "Oh yeah, man, I was playing this joint. I got a song out there like that. I'm playing this joint, you know, in the car, and this girl's like, oh, you know." Turn on that Drake, and it's like, man,
yo,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's one of the most frustrating feelings, because it's just like, with you being, I'm aspiring to get to that level, and it's just like, wait, bitch, you don't like my shit too?
Yeah, you know, and it's like, I try not to take it to heart, but at the end of the day, like that moment for me
drives you.
I don't that too, but I don't really like. I guess I really don't like displaying like me listening to my stuff in front of other people. You know what I mean?
I get you.
Like, there's been times, yeah, you know, like there's been times where like people have been listening, like people like intentionally like they be listening to my stuff, and then I walk in the room and they be like, yeah, I know you don't like when we play your stuff, so like we're gonna turn it down.
Really?
And yeah, and I'll be like, all right, cool, I appreciate it, but like after a while, I was like, no, like my music's good now. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like, cause you know, like when you throw something out there just like that, and you're like, yeah, man, this the shit, and then you like don't sit on it.
Yeah.
After a while, like you start hearing the flaws every time you hear the song and like out. So when somebody else is listening to it, they don't hear the flaws, but you sitting there like cringe, like
this your 1,000th time hearing it.
Yeah, you know, like man, I really should have hit that note better. You know what I mean? But
I think that's the part that I don't like the most, is when people go back to the old stuff, and you're just like, yo, the music has gotten so much better since then, and you like this song that I made out of my closet 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I hate that shit with a passion, but they love it, and then at one point it makes me want to take all of that stuff down.
Yeah, I feel that.
But do you ever think about leaving it up? You know what I mean?
Of course,
are there things? Have you went back and took some things down?
Yeah, I went back and took man. And you know what the craziest part is? The only thing I really took back, and that's just being me 100% honest, because that's just me. You know how I go. But the only thing I took down was Freestyle Fridays Volume 1. That's really it. Only because like the platform that I put it on, it was all YouTube based. Like I was out there just on the mic, just hitting my rhymes.
Right.
And for me to put it out there on Apple Music like that, it was like, nah, like the whole point of it was just like for you to watch me like rap this shit for real. Like I'm not out here like, all right, like let me get my pen and paper and like just write and like rap on screen. I'm like out here really on Freestyle Friday type shit.
Right.
Like I used to do back on Snapchat.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not about to let people just listen to that shit on like Apple Music and Spotify. And the whole point was just go to YouTube. You know
let that be the grade that they give you based off of something that may not be the best product that you're putting out currently.
Yeah. Because when you see something, I mean, that's just like how humans work as far as like when you see something as opposed to listen to it, it's two different impacts. So if you're just watching it at the same time listening, you're like, damn, this nigga's really hitting it. You know what I mean?
It's a different kind of product.
Of course.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's why there's showmanship in music videos.
What's your process like for trying to figure out what songs going out? What are songs that you really wanted to be a part of the project that don't make it? Or do you feel like you got everything out that you wanted to get out?
Okay, so like, and then truth be told, so this is my 5th project. My first project was more of an EP only because like I dropped it on SoundCloud with 8 songs, and I dropped it on Apple Music later after we started figuring out that shit on 5.
Okay.
But in reality of it all, every album that's 5 projects, with the exception of the collab with JP, because that shit was well like
Put together.
Like, yeah, we really like worked on that.
Right.
Every other album, it was another album that was supposed to come out before it. So like in the 8 songs that I did on the canvas, I had 8 songs on the canvas before that.
Right.
And some shit happened, like Android, man, fucking RIP, man. That iPhone got me, man, because this one fucked me up. This one really fucked me up, man. I was writing notes and I was hitting it, man. I had the whole album ready, man, and then like I had to do a software update and I had to back up my shit. And when I pulled that bitch back up, I ain't had no notes, man.
You lost
so
all of them?
I lost my entire album, so I was like, fuck, man, I gotta rewrite this whole fucking thing.
Oh no.
That happened with the Canvas, that happened with the Gallery, that happened with Loud Pack Shorties, and that happened with this one.
Are you serious?
Every single time?
No, I didn't lose the notes per se, but like I like there were certain points where like I would convert over to like a certain different Dropbox and I lost some beats or like some, you know what I mean, something always went wrong before these albums. In reality, the last couple, it was more I let other people kind of get in my head on what should an album sound like or not.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah, so Loud Pack Shorties, and like I said, this is me being 100% honest. Loud Pack, every other album besides Loud Pack, besides the Exposition and the one with JP, everything else was rushed, man. I was listening to people like, oh, man, you need to get some shit out. I'm like, all right, like, you know, and like, those albums, the Gallery was well more put together because I knew what my vision and what I wanted to, but it was also rushed because I already had a deadline before the album was even fucking done, you know? This album, The Exposition, was the only album that I had that it was just like I was like, I ain't putting no date out until I fucking finish this bitch. So,
Right. You didn't let it rush you or anything like that?
Yeah. Damn, I forgot what I was getting a little bit into the question. I forgot.
I like asking those questions. Those questions that bring you back to the process. I want to ask you another question because you were just talking about people getting in your head and whatnot. What's your stance when it comes to having other people around? Obviously, I was around enough to hear some of the album and whatnot, but when you have people around, you know, the whole yes men thing or the people that want you to go a different way, what's your stance on that and how do you feel about that?
I feel like I have to have so in that case, if you do have people around you, I feel that you should have more than just one. You know, because if you have that one person, and that one person could be three people,
right?
It could be the yes man,
right?
It could be the person who just like not necessarily hating on you all the time, but just everything they say, like it just come off the wrong way. It's just the way people talk, and it's that person that's really gonna actually give you that like. That criticism like that you need, that constructive criticism that you're like, all right, like he's right, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like that's just personalities on people. Like some people like they can try to feel like they giving you constructive criticism, but the way they say it, like it just
come off the wrong way.
Yeah, you know, other people too, like you know, like other people are not as honest where they're just like, yeah, man, that shit's on fire. When in reality they think it's trash. When like maybe what they taste ain't even like up to par, you know, so like, you know what I mean, like that's one way to look at it, but they might be like that. It shit might be fire, but like that's just more like, in my opinion, on yourself on like how hard you take things. Like, for example, in my situation, I might have a yes man around me, you know what I mean?
Right.
I definitely got niggas that just be like, oh, yo, bro, you could do better. You could do better. You can do better.
Right.
But I also have I have a little bit more constructive criticism people around in my circle.
Right.
I always got that one yes man. I always got that hater.
Right.
But the yes man will tell me like, all right, this dude think it's fire. Let me go over to this dude because I already know this dude. Everything he says is just gonna be like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, it's just kind of an avenue. Like some days, like I'll go to the dude who just be grilling my shit all day long. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know he gonna grill it. And I just want to see what he say. Okay. And I'm just like, man, all right, bet. I'm still going to go to my other constructive criticism people and just see what they really say.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of how I get my second opinion. Because at the end of the day, if my constructive criticism people say they grilling me too,
right? My
man's is right.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So like
that's
I can't
spot check.
Right.
Yeah, you know, like so I can't like completely discredit him for just like being how he is, you know, or like anything like that.
Of course.
So that's kind of like that's where I kind of feel you got to have like. Want everybody around you, really. So that's kind of what I had in mind. So
fair enough. All right, so another one, and this is something that me and you have had a personal conversation about. The algorithms. What is that like for you, and how you feel about it? Because you know me, I hate the shit.
Yeah, man. Like algorithms suck because like they change that shit. Like there's certain platforms they change that shit every fucking day. I got songs and shit about shit like that. You know, like if I highlight what's the song? Pop Like Soda.
Okay.
I talk about how TikTok did all that shit where like, you know, it's a certain way you do a certain TikTok, man, with a certain lighting that go off, man. But if you got a certain skin complexion, man, motherfuckers like TikTok intentionally like be like, nah, man, we not boosting this up.
Promoting that.
And to me, that's kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? That's
It
just
is,
like
it is.
just
Kind of fucked up.
Yeah, like it's super kind of fucked up. Like it's fucked up enough for me to put it in a damn song. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
that led to like the TikTok strike and whatnot, where they had the actual black dancers.
Nah,
they stopped.
I
stopped.
fucked with that heavy as hell.
That was
man.
fire because they stopped doing the dances, and then guess what? The white TikTokers who come through steal the dances and get millions of views.
They kept doing the same dance.
They went out there.
You lost your content, man. What happened?
Yeah, man, like, and that's kind of where I'm like, man, algorithms is kind of fucked up. But the only thing you can really do, man, in my opinion, is just like really do what you can, man. Like the only thing, as far as algorithms is concerned, that I like almost heard by is some shit that Zach fucking told me in the beginning. Like you fucking post from like 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. You know what I mean? And like you just make sure you engaged almost every fucking day, really. Right. You know what I mean? Like to me, that was like to this day, like I'm out here like that. You know what I mean?
It's funny. I'm the one that told you that, and I hate doing that.
Yeah,
shit.
see, like yeah, for real. That's kind of how I go, you know. And I hate doing it too, man. Honestly, like, I mean, I don't really necessarily hate it because if you hate it with a passion, like if you hate anything, you ain't gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm still out here posting, so like I don't really hate it. You know, at the end of the day, it's something good because there's people that don't connect to me on an everyday basis. So for them to be able to see me out there and do what I do, like it's dope. Cause like I like recently, like I've been like, you know, after COVID and you know, you really don't really want to go out and stuff like that. But like recently I just been kind of going out, like being invited to like weddings and parties and stuff. And like, it's dope to see people come up to me and be like, yeah, like I see you do all your music shit. Like you really out here doing it. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, I've been doing this shit for 5 years.
Right.
Like, but now you're just seeing it, you know what I mean? Only because,
okay.
Exactly. So, that's kind of where I was just like, fuck, man, unless you like really analytic about that, like I got boys that's like that and like they know, like, you know, I don't got time for that only because I spread myself thin with all the other shit that I do.
Right.
I just kind of try to maintain as best as possible, man, and just keep it going, man. Some days I get like fucking 20 likes on a post, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some days I get 100 likes on a post, you know what I mean? Some days I go on the reels and man, my shit going fucking 1,600 fucking plays in like an hour. Other days, like I'm barely cracking 100.
Right.
And it's like when but sitting there and me knowing that, you know, on the numbers, that's unhealthy. You know.
I was gonna ask you, how does all of that affect your mental health?
It affects it. If it affects it a lot. It affects like that. Like that's something like where I've also been told by a couple of my boys that like you don't look at them numbers, like don't even pay attention to it, because when you do, like you kind of
post and go,
you drive yourself crazy, man. Like when you sit there and really analyze that, because then you post and then you're like, all right, and then you checking your phone like every 2-3 minutes, like, all right, did somebody like it? Hey man, like, you know what I mean? Like, this popping off, and like y'all, and you know I'm being real because like motherfuckers really do that shit. You know what I mean? So
1,000%.
But like that's
just
not
stay refreshing. The shit.
Yeah, bro, that's not healthy. Why? Because then like after 2-3 hours going on, you realizing you've been checking your phone every 2-3 minutes, and it's like, man, I ain't getting shit else done except this post that I did the last 2 hours, you know? So just post your shit and go, man. Like, you got the rest of your life to live, man, outside that phone. So, like, now I'm getting a little better about that. I just post something. And the only difference is the reason why I could be like that is because I posted something every single day for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
So when you do that it takes 2 weeks to break a bad habit. So
of course.
You do that shit for so long, you realize you ain't gonna be on your phone and checking it every 5 minutes because you used to the post. You used to them likes coming through at a certain time.
It just becomes a normal thing for
you.
you.
So have you turned off post notifications?
I've deleted apps completely.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Round of applause for that.
I've deleted. Yeah. I like
it's necessary.
That's a good one. You basically put me on with the post notifications, like because I'm about to start doing that too. I'm gonna turn off post notifications, but I delete apps completely. Like and around like even when the album came, like or like album was coming up, like I was deleting the app off my phone, or I would like find a way to hide it somewhere in the app where it was hard, because you know how like you get used to like where your apps be.
Right.
You switch that. Yeah. You switch that shit to a different part of the screen. You like, oh, where's my app at? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and then that's kind of when you start learning habits of yourself and like how you do things. So, but like I'll delete apps and just be on my computer with it, you know, because at the end of the day, I know I ain't on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and shit.
Right.
At work or wherever else I'm out, you know what I mean? I know when I get back to the crib and I'm on a computer for like an hour or 2 or 3 for whatever the hell it may be, I'm on there checking notifications, but it's different. I'm not about to be on a browser all day long. I got some shit to do. It's my computer. I'm about to start mixing. I'm about to start recording. I'm about to start doing something else.
When you're busy and you got other shit to do, you can't really be so consumed in that one post.
Yeah. J. Cole say a lot about that shit, like about like just like kind of disconnecting as much as possible, and that shout out to him because that shit like really that shit helped me in this whole process of like trying to make this damn album. You know,
is he one of your biggest inspirations?
Oh, here you go.
He's up there. He's definitely up there.
All right, so if you're gonna ask that question, I'm gonna ask this question because you mentioned Pop Like Soda earlier today, earlier, and this is my personal opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you were creating that, were you, because of the lyrics and the vibe of the song, were you going for a vibier like "This Is America"?
No, actually, and like I said, I'm just be 100% honest. It's fucking dope. That song was inspired by Isaiah Rashad's Headshots. So I don't know. I just really like the vibe and I like the beat. So like honestly, I started writing to that fucking song. You know what I mean?
I think you posted a snippet and I was hyped.
Yep. I started writing to that song and then like I got my boy Tiny like let's get Damn It Donnie.
Right.
Hey man, make me something similar. Or anything like that. It's just like I just wanted to keep the vibe. Of what the song entailed. But at the end of the day, like when I like was like writing my shit. I guess it did come out as this is a little bit more This Is America, which is dope. I appreciate that. I never got that reference, but there was just the one song, like on the whole album. Like I kind of like when it comes down to the album, like I like to give a variety. I like to give like versatility as much as possible. Why? Because ain't everybody gonna like your shit. For me, the best way I can help that is that at least I can make a song that's gonna work for everybody. You know what I mean? Like I might be a song about love. Everybody been through love. Everybody's been through pain. So you're gonna have those
always
on
get
there,
off with
something for everybody to relate to in some way, shape, or form.
My rapper-esque is a little bit more political than people. You know what I mean?
I'd give you that.
So that's based off of just Lupe being my fucking biggest inspiration. Really,
Okay.
So like what I talk about. You know what I mean? Like motherfuckers might even call it Hotep or whatever the fuck it is.
Right, I know what you're saying.
I like it's just me, who I am, and like I really like want the people to know like what the hell be going on. Like just open your eyes up, and that was the one song that I was like I gotta have one on there like that. So
okay, all right, fair enough.
That and it was a dope play on to be Pop Like Soda because I wanted the people to be in the rage. Like did this nigga call it pop or soda? You know how we call it pop. You know what I mean?
A good play on that whole little thing back and forth that you sent on the internet.
So like so.
Fair enough.
Sure.
How often, and I'm not sure, where we at on time?
27.
Okay. This is going to probably be one of my last of questions, but how often does one song that you put out that you might have been iffy about turn out to be like the one that people like the most?
It does happen pretty often. I definitely got a couple songs that I feel that like was just there's no way people ain't gonna like that. I mean, there's no way people's gonna like this joint. You know what I mean? But those actually resonated a little bit more with people than I would expect. Like, I used to just like 90s rap my ass fucking in all day like fucking NWA type shit.
Right.
But then when I started singing, I started noticing a lot more people like the singing than the rapping,
They want to hear those melodies.
Yeah, but that's just more like that's just how music is.
It's gonna be all right.
But I did get a lot of compliments on how like people were like, man, like this album was way different than what I expected, man. Like you got a decent amount of melodies enough to like catch people's attention in there, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of that was like my whole purpose of this, making it an album, because like I said, I can rap niggas in circles all the fucking day long, man.
Talk your shit, man.
Freestyle Friday all day long, you know what I mean? I've been doing that shit forever, like so it's kind of like to give something different on the album. Like I'm not about to give y'all these raps. I can, I might. On this next one, you know what I mean?
But y'all know this already.
But like it's just because it's just the versatility that I try to keep with it, like you gotta keep people engaged and like really draw people into it. But at the end of the day, like My dad used to sing R&B, you know what I mean, back in the day. He had
Really?
mixtapes, yeah, like
Really?
yeah.
Is that
man.
where it comes from?
Yeah, so
Shit, I ain't know that. I mentioned Pops a billion times. I didn't even know
that he's inspired me a lot when it comes down to singing, man. Because
Really?
like, when I sing, like I don't hear nobody else except him. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, it's like that. So
Okay.
So like shout out to him, but like I was in choirs, you know what I mean, like as a young like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you know, high school all the way up until having a choir teacher I didn't really like, so I was like fuck that, I'm out, you know. So like singing was a lot more like and those questions would come up as you was a kid, but singing for me, I was like, oh, I'll make it more of a singer. I couldn't make it as a rapper, you know, because I like to sing.
Right.
But like back in the day, man, you had like 2000s R&B, Casey and JoJo and shit like that, you know. Like just getting but like, you know what I mean? Like to me, I was, oh man, like but I couldn't see myself being a, you know what I mean,
right.
an R&B ass nigga like that, you know what I mean? So like, you know, but now it's a lane for it. Like people don't even call this shit like R&B. They just call it like, you know, rap or whatever. Like they just try to categorize it. Yeah, you know, like, or like they call it mumble or whatever the fuck you want to call it, you know. But at the end of the day, it's just the craft of it. And to me, like when I sing, the way I'm singing on it, like I don't hear people really singing like that on their songs. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But at the same time, I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna just like the singing. If anything's gonna get you to the song, it's gonna be like the melodies or whatever. But you still gonna hear what the fuck I got to say. You know what I mean on them raps. So
the melody is that's kind of the hook to get them in, and then once you got them there, it's like, all right,
yeah.
listen.
Let me give you these bars real quick.
Biggest example, man, Kendrick, man. Like honestly, like if you really think about it, if you listen, and if you go back in your head and like think of any Kendrick song that you can think of, what do you really start saying? You start saying the melodies. Right. I am a sinner. Right. It was probably, but you don't know shit this man saying in the whole fucking verse. Right. Like it's Kendrick, and I listen to the man a lot. Right. So now this statement is not true now. Okay. But he was losing me. Like I was like, man, I can't recite some of the shit that you were saying because I don't know what the fuck this man's talking about. Like, right. But then when you like, all right, I need to educate myself of what he's saying, and then that's when you're like, oh, I get it. Like. This is what he was trying to do. He was trying to get you into the song so you could know that, you know what I mean?
I don't think I've never heard anybody honestly say that, because when you said it was like he's kind of losing me, because at one point he was kind of losing me.
Yeah, you know, like,
and I love this guy. Like
and that you can honestly say that to like a Kendrick fan, you know what I mean? But like the other people who like, man, nah, fuck Kendrick, blah blah. That's what they are. Like they lost. They're like, nah, like I don't like. Couldn't get into it at all. But the people who like stuck around and stayed, that's why he's on the height that he is, and that he won so awards, like, you know what I mean, all that shit, because like that person like had that extra like, let me dive into this shit a little bit, and like, and that person I'll appreciate, because like for the most part everybody just judges books by their cover, you know what I mean? That's a fact. So it's like the people who don't, like, those people are like really like intellectual, you know, and I appreciate those type of people, because you need those people to be like, man, why did he really make this, you know what I mean, and ask those questions, man, because when you don't, like, everybody just like going with one fucking thing, and then like you never even know if that's healthy or good or whatever, you know what I mean? Okay. So
I would say Kendrick has gotten really good at like the catchy hooks, like we talked about. But the purpose of him doing the catchy hooks is different from most your other artists. Yeah. Right? It's like, yo, I'm just trying to pull you in and get these plays up. Kendrick's like, no, I'm trying to pull you in so you can hear what I'm saying.
Right. That's fair.
That's that high power shit.
Yeah, which is absolutely. Laura, I want to ask you this question, and then I don't know if Ashton had any more questions.
I only have one more after that, and we can close it out.
All right, cool. So let me ask mine, and then you get to yours. All right. Now, this may sound like a loaded question. If you don't want to answer it, it's fine. Saying, going through earlier, you talking about, you having a lot more comfort in the process that you have now and feeling like a little bit more mastery. I know that's not the word you said, but that's the word I'm going to use. A little bit more mastery over the process of making your music now. If you could go back to the beginning of your music creating journey, which song, if you could only pick one, would you go back and say, I'm going to redo that how I do it now?
That is a loaded question and a great question. I got to give you that.
Oh, man. Like, wrote that down. It's hard to pick one song, man. It's honestly hard to pick one song, because there's like a couple of them. That question in my terms is basically like when you're like, when you drop some shit and you're like, damn, I think I wait this song I dropped too early. Like it was ahead of its time. That's what it means. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That moment where you're like, man, this song is way ahead of its motherfucking time, man. Like,
and then you hear somebody else drop it, it's like, fam, that's what I just did.
Yeah. Honestly, without getting too,
without having to go down the
quote
list.
unquote deep in it,
right?
That song in particular,
right?
I got a song called Deep. That song was way too ahead of its time.
Okay.
It drew a big impact on like my life at the time, but it like created a stance that like where I was like, damn, man, like y'all better watch what y'all say around me, man, because I really have this shit in my head that like I could just air shit out, you know what I mean? And like I didn't like the way the message came off might have been a little wrong, you know what I mean? I might have, but it was just at the time I gave my whole heart on that song. And to this day, that song probably overlooked, but that's the one song that I can't even, it's hard to listen to.
Wow.
That's how I know a song was way ahead of its time. That song is really hard to listen to for myself. To the point where like, I remember dropping that song and people text me, was like, hey man, you all right? I'm like, yeah, man, that shit happened like 7 years ago, bro. You know? But it was just like, damn, like at that point I was like, damn, I knew I had one where it was like, man, this shit, other people really resonate with.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter, like, maybe somebody else might have, like, somebody else, you know, reached out to me and was like, man, like, I really felt that shit, man, because, like, I've been through some shit like that. And I was like, damn. And the only regret I ever felt was, like, I should have waited to drop that song. Why? Because I felt like more people should hear
it now.
That.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's one song in particular. I definitely say that. Other songs would be like Purple Night. You know what I mean? I had hella fun on that, and that one doesn't get enough shine. Beamer Music, you know,
Beamer Music is the one.
Like that one,
Beamer
that one
Music
was the
is
one for me. You
That's
know, because I know like back then, like even when I listen to it now, I'm just like, man, this nigga don't really rap fast. Like me, I rap fast. That nigga did not rap fast. He was just trying. You know what I mean?
I feel
so yeah, I definitely felt that. Yeah,
I think that was something that I did in the beginning when I started making music. I used to take a lot of personal situations and put them out there, and eventually I had to reel some of that back. It wasn't necessarily because of the people that hit you up after. Have you ever had anybody approach you about a song you put out?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's like, hey man, we good?
Yeah. But the thing is though,
Hey,
now.
you should fit wearing that.
Now.
the thing is though, you guys could be good, but I'm just expressing how I feel. Like we've had this conversation and it's not a big deal, but I'm just expressing how I feel in this song.
Yeah.
It's like it feels personal, but it's not.
Yeah, nah. It's really just relating to other people, man. Like you never really know what anybody else really go through unless you say some shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's why like so much stuff comes up and like people be in the dark about a lot. Like, you know, if we get into real touchy subjects about like people being convicted of certain things, you know, like like people don't really like in like, you know, no disrespect to anybody that like it takes them a while to like ever like come out with anything. Like I get it, 'cause I do the same shit.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like you never even knew, like you was in the dark about some stuff the whole time, man. And then when you finally say something, somebody else is like, bro, I lived right next door to you. You know what I mean? Like, and like I was going through the same shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, damn. Well, now like we can talk about it and like be therapeutic about it. You know what I mean? As opposed to like just keeping it in and bottling it in, and you never even know how to deal with shit. So
I like that.
You know,
there's nothing better than that feeling of when somebody hits you and they say, bro, when you said this on this track, this hit me a certain way. I think that's probably one of the biggest inspirations for certain things. If you're an artist, when people reach out to you specifically and tell you like, bro, this made me feel this way. Or if anybody's ever cried to one of your joints, that shit'll really smack you in the face. You'd be like, yo, what the fuck is going on? It'll really change some things.
Man, it's great. Like, and like people don't talk about this enough about how music and mental health go hand in hand, man, because it's literally like using your your mind to project your feelings on a paper, you know what I mean, or like on a track. So it's like, what does that do to your head, you know, when it happens? Like, do you get like that fucking dopamine to be like, oh man, like like this made me feel great, or
you
like,
feel better?
Like I feel loved, or like, oh, like I really value this friendship and relationship, or oh man, like I was really down in the dumps, you know what I mean? And like that's therapeutic for people in like the mental health. But like sometimes it takes a little bit more to deal with it off the paper than just throwing it out there for the public eye to see. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like some things you really got to talk through, man, because like you just because you put it out there, it doesn't mean like, oh, like you still, you know, you're cured of like how you feel about it. You know what I mean? Like that shit's still in you. Like that's a part of you. So you just got to really, really like figure out what you need.
That ties into my last and final question. How do you keep yourself balanced? How do you keep your mental health in check while you're running yourself thin? You're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. Like, how do you stay balanced in between music? Is music a part of that balance, or do you have to find things outside of that to keep yourself balanced?
Honestly, it's two things, man. Honestly, it's taking a break from it and working out.
Okay.
That's really it, man. Like, there's times like I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't listen to the radio. Like, I don't ever listen to the radio at all. Like, I just like I don't know. It's just not even that. Like, it's just like it's just not a thing. Like, because like for me, like I like to listen to what I want to listen to. Like at that moment, that's really it. You know, there's times where like I've drove home like completely silent.
I think we all do that.
Yeah, you know, like a lot
more now.
Yeah, but what it is like you just need time for your mind to just like digress from some stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
I listen to music all day long. So like listen to music all day long and then mixing and mastering. Like your ears need a break from that.
I hate that. I mean? I wish I never got into fucking music so I can listen to it like the rest of y'all. I swear I do. I
studio
hate
ears, man.
I hate that
We
shit.
talked about this off mic all the time. You got studio ears. So when you do hear shit on the radio, you be like, fam, you released that?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, but there's another thing that happens too. Like that happens to me a lot more often than before. Like notes start changing. Like the sound of things start changing. Like something might be in a C key and that shit a sound like it'll go like in my ears. Like and I'm like, nah, like I need a break from this shit because like you've been listening so much and now
are getting worn down.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a thing.
Wow.
So like taking a break from that, like so that's how I kind of realized how important it was to take breaks because like you might not want to take a break. You're like, hell yeah, man, I'm about to be in this bitch for like fucking 72 fucking
everything is great.
7 days. Man, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But you can't because like your ears will literally like deceive you and you're like, nah, bro, this shit don't sound right. Like I gotta take a break. So like that's one thing to like you just got to. You gotta take your breaks from all jobs, all careers, all fucking everything, you know? The second thing is to get the mental health right is really working out.
Okay.
Because working out does something for me. It releases something or like it does something where like it brings more brightness to like how I feel. You know what I mean? Whenever I'm feeling like down or anything like that, like the worst thing I could do is just sit there and lay and curl myself up in a bed. You know what I mean? And do nothing at all.
I learned that from experience. That's just it doesn't work out.
But to me, I'm like, if I feel down, I'm gonna make myself feel down. I'm gonna feel tired. I'm gonna just work myself out. And what it is like I focus less on feeling down and more like, oh man, my stuff hurt, my stuff's sore, but like it feels good. And that it feels good, like that moment right there where I'm like, yes, okay, I'm getting back a little bit more.
Right.
Because another thing is somebody else said it as like taking your walk. You just make sure you take your walks every day. Like you got to, because that's important. That's like me taking my walk. You got to sit there and just go out and just like
go touch some grass.
Really, really
go
think,
touch some
like,
grass.
You know what I mean? Like with the exception of doing all kind of crazy psychedelics and stuff. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
But yeah, you gotta like really like go out and like experience like the world and not in an event where like, oh, you gotta take a train to Chicago and fucking live with the city people. No, like you gotta like take time out of everything that you're doing, out of your fucking comfort zone, and like take a walk in like the forest reserve or whatever, like
be in some nature,
to just really like be like, okay, this is my chalkboard or this is my fucking writing board. Now I can like separate my thoughts and figure out what the central like issue is or like what I should really start focusing on. Because when you're sitting there behind that damn computer, you're sitting there like trying to get your shit done or like whatever it may be, you're living more or less in the moment than really analyzing the moment. And those walks or those workouts for me, that helped me to do that shit really. So
fair enough.
That's what's up.
Zach, you got any other questions?
I want to open up the floor. That sounded weird. I want to open up the floor to you, Lamar, to be able to tell the people your socials, where to find you, where to listen to you, et cetera, et cetera. Time's yours.
Yeah, that's I Go By LC. It's funny to say because everybody always be like LC. No, it's IGOBY LC. That's everything: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, fucking Xbox gamer tag. Let's get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in this bitch. But it's I Go By LC everywhere. Please, if you can, listen to the album. Tell me what you think. I really appreciate the feedback. It's exposition. And yeah, like, that's it.
Fair enough. This has been another episode of the Gentleman Podcast. The exposition is out now. I know I messed that up. That sounded terrible, right? You heard that? No, you ain't gotta laugh about it, nigga. You should have said it with me so then I would have messed up, man.
I would have, but you caught me off guard. Anyway, this has been another episode of the Gentleman's Club Podcast. I want to thank LC for stopping in and talking to us today. Episode 67.
I think so.
We'll be back.
I think so. Exposition out now.
Yes,
Go cop that.
Contract set in stone to narrate how we living. Sign up to sell your soul, pass it down to your children. I come from broken promises mixed with head-on collisions, as if I was walking around the crib with my shoes on. They got caught slipping. I was sitting in the back of a classroom paying attention, but his rookie was dozing off right next to me. Only difference is his career was given to him, and mine didn't exist to them till black folks started to speak up. White folks saw it as dividends. Numbers, trends, put them in Mercedes.